Well, I suppose I'm going to be responding to Bo the Fifth Column's article regarding Let's Talk About Reading Without Reading. It's 23 after midnight. It's Saturday, the 25th of November, 2023. So, yeah, we're going to address this one over to Bo of the Fifth Column. He likes to come up with these interesting, mostly political, but this one kind of threw me for a loop on this one. Reading without reading, and someone's got a problem concerning about getting kids to read. Well, how did I get into reading? Reading was escapism at one time. Reading comic books like crazy when I was supposed to be doing other things in class when I was growing up as a kid. Squirming around trying to color books and people want to do physical activity or pull out the comic books outside and read stuff because I thought the images and the artistry was interesting. And it's a way to get out of things, left and right. Ma gave me a couple of books, one about dinosaurs and another one about space. She wanted me to grow up smart. Wanted to see how smart I was. Well, you're smart when you kind of retain the information and start talking about things. Start talking about the books. Yeah, you become a parrot. I didn't think I had that much of a comprehension issue until I grew up later in life and figuring, oh my God, maybe I am that dumb. But no, I kept my head in books growing up as a kid. Read Star Trek books a lot when I was a teenager. James Blish did the, uh, well, he did the narratives, novelizations for them, put them in series. There was article, actually stories about the whole series. It's about 12, 13, maybe 14 books, I think. And they would talk about the entire three series, so 3 seasons of Star Trek, the original episodes. A little more context in there. There's one thing growing up, I'd be reading about California history. All right, you learn about this, you learn about that. You have to learn it by rote. Okay, fine. Handwriting, cursive. Ugh. I was never able to have a good handwriting, especially when everyone wanted me to write rapidly with the thing. Slow it down. I may look at it, may look legitimate, legible. In school, if you read a book, you're a nerd, unless you're doing classwork. I went to a school library and read a few books over there. Maybe I was a nerd. I think I said so in a video one time that I was reading about Sikorsky. And I was reading something about the United States Navy doing the program of Sea Lab 1 and Sea Lab 2. Spam in a can, you had to call it. Underneath the water, about 200 or 300 feet, maybe longer than that. And it takes them a while to decompress their bloodstream so they don't get the bends, especially when they're going from the can back up to the surface. Go down, compressing all the way, and then you're living in gases in a cylindrical, looks like lozenge with hatches and life support. They'd have regular food or almost regular food, heated up one way or another, but it was very uncomfortable living. But they were trying to prove a point, trying to prove a mission that man could survive down there for a limited time in the ocean water. But they never did continue the experiment on that one. I don't know why it became fascinating to me. My also gave me a book concerning about Project Gemini, so I was reading that voraciously. I think I was freaking people out left and right. David had some books. One was about Rascal, concerning about a kid and his raccoon. I never did see and read that book. But he had another book of Whip. It was a fictionalized story, or almost fictionalized story. I didn't know whether the thing was real or not. Modifying either B-25s or B-29s with submachine guns. Actually, not submachine, but automatic machine guns sticking out of their noses. They're going to be doing bombing runs. Captain Whip Russell was the character. Kind of remind me of watching the show of Baba Black Sheep. Their area called Valalakava. Fictional, but it was based off the real character name of Greg Boyington. Was Navy. And one during the before we got into World War II, we had Japan invading China. And China was looking for qualified pilots, mercenaries, to help fight a war for them. I think Boynton had a issue regarding the Navy or something like that. But he joins up with Flying Tigers, American mercenary group, I guess. Non-sanctioned, off the books, but still, they helped China during those days before we officially got into it. And then Japan had officially declared war on the United States, and then Boynton joins the Marine Corps aviator. He wanted his kills to be registered. Navy wouldn't recognize it because it was off the books. He was a merc. But even with him being a Navy ace or a Marine ace, those kills would have meant something to him. Did. A lot of things meant something to him. From what the information I was reading off of the biographies about him. Greg Boyington also helped be technical advisor on the show Baba Black Sheep because it was based off of his experiences loosely. Loosely, I said. Sometimes the stories seem like they're fictionalized, not back in the 70s, but I said before he was technical advisor. So well, that's about a season or two, and that's about it. But it was for a short time. It was adventure, and I was reading adventure book. Uh, must have read that book dozens of times growing up as a kid. I still love that book. I hate it when I losing a library. Senior years, before my brother passed away, yeah, we had a problem concerning about finances, trying to keep a trailer home. We had a lot of antiques. We had a lot of records, LPs, 45s, 33s. We didn't have any 78s though. But I had boxes and boxes, milk crate boxes. Those cardboard ones that you get out of Costco, 2 gallons in a box. Storage areas for books. I must have had about 50 or 100 of them, I guess. I don't know, lost track. But it was about a lot of books, big ones, small ones, rare ones, all gone. Somebody else had claimed it all. We sold it to them. Needed the money. What a waste. Well, we had no other place to put them anyway. We were going to lose them anyway. All that knowledge. A lot of classics, old classics. Even for the ones from American to English classics. First or second runs. Now, Bo was trying to answer about how do you teach kids to read, or how do you keep them to read. Generations change like crazy, not to mention technology has made us, the older generations, more obsolete in their eyes. I was trying to talk about that being obsolete a long time ago in my videos. That Rod Serling in the series of Twilight Zone back in the early to mid 60s, he's trying to show that to people about things and aspects in our life, including one about being obsolete. There was also another one concerning about careful what you wish for. You might get it. Burgess Meredith played a couple of strong characters. One a wishy-washy, but a pretty decent one anyway. And another one who's combating the generational change. If I'm not mistaken, the guy who Burgess Meredith was going to be dying with, but didn't, was the same actor, if I'm not mistaken. He was also in the movie in 1964, Failsafe. Played a Colonel Cicero who was breaking down mentally. A lot of things happening in his life that were breaking him mentally, uh, from dealing with his family, a dysfunctional family, and then he's got to deal with military situation to a point where a computer had a glitch because of faulty hardware switch, and put the United States and Soviet Union into a thermonuclear, if I'm going to say a shitstorm, I'd say a shitstorm on that one. I watched it very few times in my lifetime because it was that hard and painful to watch. They done a few adaptations throughout my life, but I guess they didn't want to deal with it because the material was so difficult to deal with. During those days, they had the Cold War going on. We had a thing against Russia. Russia had a thing against us. We didn't like communism, and they didn't like American Western imperialism expanding into their territory, which is the rest of the planet. Ideology war we had. And sometimes we had to go fight proxy wars, apparently. But even on screen, we were trying to be victorious and showed ourselves to be the moral character. Yeah, right. See, back then, we didn't have the technology like we have today. It's not the solid state transistors. Of course, we'd use those for recording or listening on radios or transmitting stuff. When you're talking about microchips, when you're talking about nanotechnology, when you're talking about a lot of things that these days the youth are taken for granted on a constant basis, like we look at books as a constant thing. The kids look at the zeros and ones as a constant thing. It's like technology capturing our youth. We're terrified of it, our older generation, because we're afraid of it because we don't know what it's going to lead us to. We have our imaginations that would run wild like crazy. We would think about the future, how it would be. We're seeing the future right now. It scares the hell out of us. We're thrilled and we're scared. We're worried about the kids are going to be reading about stuff or knowing how to write stuff. Here's something I got to talk about in this one. The last several years since going to a community college in my adult age, I'm 57 years old. I started about age 49, and I'm still going there. And I'm seeing the kids not struggle with technology. They are so adept to it and adept to it. It's not even funny. Those older farts who are used to paper books and reading materials like that. You know, I look at the books as dinosaurs compared to the electronic world that the kids are dealing with on the bases, and they're laughing and they're playing. To me, sometimes it seems like it's Pied Piper land. Only I don't know who's playing the tune that the kids are dancing to, and the adults are having an issue with it. An old childhood story told to us generation after generation in one form or another. Pied Piper of Hamelin trying to get rid of rats because the town had an infestation of these things all over the damn place, and they wanted an exterminator. Nobody else could find something, but they heard about this guy who's got a flute, hot and heavy. He could whip up a mean tune. Yes, but the guy wants all the money and all the gold that they had. Oh, you either deal with the rats or you deal with me. Okay, fine, we'll pay a price. Oh, and what else want the kids to? What? You're not taking our kids. We're going to take the kids. I guess in the stories we were taught how mean the guy was. Because in the end, the rats were gone. And then Piper got backstabbed by the mayor. Stories keep changing left and right, but you get backstabbed. So Piper decided to take his revenge. Down gets the rats. Piper gets the kids. Bye. I never understood the lesson of that damn story, I swear. Every time they kept changing the damn thing around, I'm like, okay. Well, I remember seeing an old movie about this one done in the late 50s, early 60s. They ran this thing like crazy on Tube every so often when I was watching it as a kid. But I never did remember seeing the ending. What the hell happened? I mean, the Pied Piper came in, got rid of the rats, but then he got backstabbed, so he used his pipe and stole the kids. He was going to get his money one way or another. Ransom the kids. Sometimes that story stuck with me. Seeing how it's being played out in today's life right now as it is. It's not the technology capturing our kids. It's our own ways capturing or trying to hold on to something. Kids are supposed to be our future. We keep saying that. That's why we have kids. They're supposed to be the future. They're supposed to be carrying on. Are they supposed to be carrying on the same things we had, we want, or we lived with? That's what our thing, and that's what we're dealing with all the time. We're supposed to be teaching the kids everything we knew. And then they're supposed to be growing up and making the world a better place, according to our assumptions all the damn time. And then we wonder how come the world was so screwed up, and we keep blaming them, or did we blame ourselves for the damn thing in the first place? I want an interpretation of how life was going. The kids are supposed to be changing left and right. They're supposed to be changing into us, or turning into us, according to our own assumptions. And apparently the kids didn't. They turned it into them, whatever it was. And in this generation, it became almost spoiled. Spoiled rotten. Or is it our current generation right now that's spoiled rotten? Because we think we're entitled. And therefore, we have to push it on everybody, including our younger generation, who has to emulate us. Because now they think they're more spoiled than us. We gave a lot to them. We gave them the world. We gave them the universe. We gave them the internet. We didn't give them any challenges. Instant gratification. From what Bo was trying to tell us, yeah, generation got, you know, got entitled with a gimme, 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 or else. Or else once. You'll be sorry. We'll be sorry, alright. We're sorry that we actually spoiled your rat, so now we can't even beat the living crap out of you just to tell you that you knock that shit off. And if we do that, we already got laws set up already to prevent things like that. So now the kids got that shield going on. And we talked about that one for decades on that one. State of California, I'm not quite sure about the other states. But I know in the state of California, we actually had a law preventing us from beating the crap out of the kids. Growing up, you mouthed off to an adult, whap upside the head or across the face. Or, okay, that's it. I'm telling your parents, Jimmy. You did this. You did this to my car. You did. Now you get over here, and I'm going to call your parents, and your parents are coming over here to tell you what's going on, and they're going to punish you. It's like, no, you're not, old man. These days, it's like, help, help! I got an adult keeping me track over here. It's my parents. They're going to kill me. Help! Cops get over there these days. They'll put the parents in, after they get the information necessary, they start the investigations. They'll put the kids in foster homes. And then if they're lucky, they get adopted. If not, well, they're screwed. That's the joy about having this kind of law in the state of California. You can you can loom it over the parents like crazy, and they tried to do that in my generation. But the problem is, they became worse than latchkey kids. They became part of the system's issues and problems. They became their own problems. Was it necessary to beat the shit out of kids? Tell you one thing. No, because we still don't know how to educate the kids one way or another in order for them to learn what we want to teach them. Or are they going to be willing enough for us to teach them? Teaching them violence one way is not going to solve it because we had that for God knows how long. We've never been able to discipline our kids enough. Military schools or places that offer that kind of rigid training? Maybe, if they're going to be willing enough to do it. If not, out in the system they go and into the other prison system. And their criminal life begins. But if they're willing enough to give it a shot and be disciplined enough, maybe hone the skills that they have or going to get. A lot of forlorn hopes. I never had kids. I never had kids. I didn't like kids growing up as a kid. Growing up as one, I didn't like my own generation. So some of the kids were spoiled, rotten, mean, and being a pain in the ass to everybody else. And my mother, God rest her soul, sometimes she had a disciplinary issue with me on some occasions. And yeah, my butt did feel a belt. They hurt. When my brother was alive, and he was 8 years younger, actually 8 years older than I was, he dealt with the corporal punishment. He was going to elementary school at the time. And the principal was a firm believer in disciplinary action, meaning he had a wiffle ball paddle. Paddle with holes cut into it. When you used that paddle in the air, you'd hear the air going through the holes, and it made the sound, whistling sound. You knew that thing was going to hit you. You knew that thing was going to get you. It's bad enough when the kids were rubbing their butts outside, sitting down, crying their asses off. Any kind of thing happened at school that he didn't like, he still had to report it to the parents. Apparently, the school board at the time, I think it was because of the change of state laws to the public education entities out there, to the districts. And they told him no more corporal punishment. There had been too many reports and too many things going on with the kids and the parents against the school systems. There have been lawsuits happening, child abuse. That didn't sit well with the legislatures at the time, back in the 70s, early 70s anyway. And therefore you had Therefore, you had the districts telling the teachers to knock the crap off. Get rid of the damn paddles, discipline them another way. Detention works to a point. Take an area of the library and have a teacher watch them, or in a classroom that's not being used. And there's your detention hall right there. Because they have to do work. They have to be monitored on a constant basis. Kids didn't like staying after school. Didn't matter. Till the parents came by to pick them up, that's where the kids were stayed at. We're teaching kids something, or we're trying to teach them anything these days. We can't do that to anybody. We can't do that to the kids anymore. We can't hit the living crap on them because unfortunately they'll pull out a gun or a knife and blow the parent's head off. And it's bad enough when the parents are ending up dead because of the kids' actions. Bo worries about the reading level of the damn thing. I'd be doing a part 2 on this one. Yeah, I know. I'm having skin issues at this point. I should be seeing my own doctor for this damn thing. It's driving me nuts. Not to mention a few other things. So.